Urgent. Did you know you only have 24 hours to act before the arrival of the Antichrist? Time is ticking, and many don't realize the seriousness of the situation. Have you ever felt powerless in the face of inevitable changes? The anguish and fear can be overwhelming, but don't worry. In this video, we'll explore how to prepare and find the strength within you to face this challenging time. The solution is within your reach, and together, we can turn uncertainty into a path of hope and protection. Let's go. And now, let's dive into the first topic, but before we begin, make sure you're subscribed to the channel because the upcoming videos will be part of a series that will help improve your life. 1. The Antichrist, the Man of Lawlessness. Once upon a time, in a world not much different from ours, there was a cunning and charismatic man. This man, often identified as the Antichrist, is an enigmatic figure in Scripture, emerging in times of great distress and confusion. He appears when people are desperate, looking for someone to solve their problems and bring hope amid chaos. A world in crisis. Imagine a scenario full of hardship, wars ravaging nations, famine affecting millions, and sadness weighing heavily on hearts. People, consumed by despair, become vulnerable. In this context of uncertainty and fear, the Antichrist presents himself as a savior. He promises to restore order and bring happiness. With his eloquence and apparent wisdom, he wins over the masses, offering attractive solutions to complex problems. The environment is grim, and the Antichrist's promises sound like music to the ears of those who are starving for hope. They cling to any possibility of change. The figure of the Antichrist becomes a light in the darkness, but that light hides a sinister shadow. The charm of the Antichrist. At first, the Antichrist seems like a hero. He talks about ending poverty, ensuring world peace, and restoring justice. People see in him someone who understands their struggles and offers solutions that seem viable. His communication skills are remarkable. He uses words that resonate with people's hearts and promises a better future. This charm is what attracts the crowds, creating a cult of followers who believe in his intentions. However, this is where the real trick lies. The Antichrist, who appears to be benevolent, hides his dark intentions under a mask of kindness. He uses people's pain and vulnerability to manipulate emotions, making them feel special and chosen, while gradually turning them dependent on him. The revelation of his true self. As trust in him grows, the Antichrist slowly reveals his true nature. His evil side begins to manifest, like a shadow stretching at dawn. He has no genuine interest in the well-being of others. Instead of being a guide, he becomes a tyrant. His quest for absolute power leads him to demand unconditional loyalty and worship. He wants to be seen as a god, manipulating people's emotions and faith to solidify his control. This transformation is insidious. Many don't realize what's happening until it's too late. The Antichrist uses broken promises and illusions to control the minds and hearts of the people, making them believe there is no way out but to follow him. The dangers of manipulation. It's crucial that we all stay vigilant about this dynamic. The Antichrist represents not only a literal figure but also a symbol of the forces that try to deceive and manipulate humanity. He teaches us the importance of discerning between truth and falsehood, between those who truly seek good and those with selfish agendas. These forces can manifest in many forms: charismatic leaders, seductive ideas, or movements that appear benevolent but are really aiming to control or exploit. History is full of examples of people who, in search of solutions, were misled and ended up in disastrous situations. Learning to recognize the Antichrist. To avoid falling into the trap of the Antichrist, we must develop a critical and questioning mindset. It is vital to learn how to recognize the signs of manipulation and dishonesty. Asking yourself, is this person or this promise really beneficial for me and others, is an important step in protecting yourself against treacherous influences. Self-reflection is essential. We must be willing to question our own beliefs and the intentions of those around us. This involves a commitment to truth and seeking reliable information. The more informed we are, the harder it will be for the Antichrist to deceive us. Conclusion: Vigilance and Wisdom. The message of the Antichrist reminds us to always be vigilant. In a world full of uncertainties, where the vulnerable are looking for answers, it's easy to be swayed by seductive words. But by cultivating wisdom and discernment, we can protect ourselves from those who, like the Antichrist, seek to exploit our vulnerability for their own gain. As we reflect on the figure of the Antichrist, we are challenged to stay alert and committed to the truth. We must ensure that our choices are guided by solid values, not by fleeting illusions. This is a lesson that resonates through all ages. We must always question who is truly by our side and who might be deceiving us. In short, the figure of the Antichrist teaches us about the importance of vigilance, honesty, and the courage to follow what is truly right. By staying alert and questioning, we can build a more just and integral world, free from the shadows the Antichrist represents. In times of uncertainty, it's easy to be deceived by charismatic leaders promising easy solutions. In this ebook, you will learn to identify manipulation tactics and how to protect yourself from them. Discover the signs of deception and how to make informed decisions to avoid falling into traps that could affect your life and the lives of those you love. But beware, manipulation is closer than you think and can cost dearly. You have only 24 hours to secure access to this essential content. By acting fast, you'll also receive an exclusive discount that won't be available for long. Prepare to become more critical and vigilant in a world full of illusions. Don't let the darkness consume you. Learn to shine your own light. Backhand index pointing right. The ebook will be available in the comments and description. Don't miss out. 2. The number of the beast, 666. In the Bible, one number stands out, 666. This number is known as the number of the beast, and it holds significant meaning. Let's explore what it means in a way even a child can understand. Who is the Antichrist? Let's start by talking about the Antichrist. Imagine a supervillain in a comic book. He wants to be the most powerful of all and has a plan that's anything but good. The Antichrist opposes God and tries to deceive people into believing he is the Savior. He promises wonderful things, but in reality, he wants people to worship him and follow his ideas instead of doing what is truly right and good. Think of him as someone who says, "Follow me, and I will make you happy." But in truth, he just wants to use people for his own benefit. What does the number 666 mean? Now, let's understand the number 666. This number is a symbol that represents the Antichrist and everything he stands for. When someone accepts this number, it's like they are making a very important choice, choosing to follow the Antichrist instead of God. It's like deciding between a dark and dangerous path or a bright and safe one. Accepting the number 666 means choosing the path that leads to trouble. Why is it important? If someone accepts the number 666, they might face difficulties and challenges. The Antichrist will try to convince people that it's okay to ignore God. But this is an illusion. It's like ignoring a warning sign telling you to stop. Ignoring it can lead to serious consequences, not just in this life, but also in what comes after. Choosing to follow the Antichrist might seem tempting, especially when everything seems hard and confusing. But it's crucial to remember that this choice can pull people away from what really matters, God's love and protection. The power of choices. This teaches us a very important lesson about choices. We need to be careful with the decisions we make. The number 666 shouldn't be seen as something fun or funny. It's a symbol that warns us about what can happen if we choose the wrong paths. Imagine you're playing a game. If you make the right choices, you can win and reach the happy ending. But if you make the wrong choices, you might lose. So, by deciding to accept the number 666, you're making a choice that could lead to a sad ending. The importance of being watchful. The number 666 also teaches us the importance of staying alert. In a world full of temptations and distractions, it's easy to get lost and forget what really matters. The Antichrist may disguise himself as something that seems good, but it's essential to remember that not everything that shines is gold. We should always question promises that seem too good to be true. Ask yourself, is this really good for me? Does this bring me closer to God or push me further away? Focus on what's good. Finally, the message about the number 666 is a reminder that we should always choose the path of goodness. This means seeking truth, kindness, and justice. We must be ready to defend what's right and reject what's deceitful. In summary, 666 is much more than just a number. It's a symbol that teaches us about the choices we make and the importance of following the right path. We must always remember that true happiness and protection come from God, and that the decisions we make today shape our future. Stay vigilant and seek what is good and true, because that's what really matters. Sparkles. Hey everyone! What do you think about the number 666 and what it represents? Have you ever stopped to think about the choices we make every day and how they shape our path? Glowing Star, I'm here to help you better understand this topic and how to stay away from the traps of the Antichrist. Drop your thoughts or questions in the comments below, and together we'll explore this topic clearly and accessibly. 3. The signs of the Antichrist, how to recognize them. Now, imagine you're in a room full of people. Everyone is talking, laughing, and having a good time. But suddenly, you notice someone acting strangely. This is the type of sign you should pay attention to because the Antichrist also has his own signs. Let's talk about how to identify them. Deceptive appearances. The Antichrist disguises himself as someone who appears to be good. He might wear nice clothes and speak sweet words that make everyone feel good. Just like a fruit that looks delicious on the outside but is rotten inside, he might seem like a friend but has dark intentions. When someone promises everything good, but you feel a twinge of doubt, be alert. Irresistible promises. One thing the Antichrist does is make promises that seem impossible to refuse. He talks about giving you everything you desire, wealth, happiness, and even power. But remember, if something seems too good to be true, it's time to hit the brakes. The Antichrist loves doing this because he knows people are thirsty for easy solutions. Emotional manipulation. One of the most cunning ways the Antichrist gets close to people is by manipulating their emotions. He can make you feel special and unique, as if you're part of something grand. But in reality, he just wants to control you. It's like a magician who makes you look at one thing while the real trick happens elsewhere. Pay attention to your emotions. Recognizing the signs. To avoid being deceived, it's important to learn how to recognize the signs of the Antichrist. Always ask yourself, does this person really care about me, and, are these promises realistic? These questions act like a magnifying glass that helps you see more clearly what's happening around you. Trust your instincts. Finally, trust your instincts. If something doesn't feel right, it's better to investigate further. Listen to your intuition just as you would listen to a friend warning you about something dangerous. 4. The weapons of faith, how to protect ourselves. Once upon a time, in a peaceful and prosperous village where everyone lived in harmony, there was a young man named Raphael. He was known for his kindness and courage, always willing to help others and stand up for what was right. His presence was a beacon of hope for the community, and everyone trusted his wisdom. The dark storm. One morning, the village began hearing unsettling rumors about a dark storm approaching, brought by the Antichrist. He wanted to sow discord, distrust, and confusion among the people, causing them to forget the goodness and love that had always united them. The sense of unity began to fade, and fear started to creep into the hearts of the villagers. Raphael couldn't stand by while his beloved village became an emotional battlefield. Determined to act, he gathered his friends in the village's central clearing, where the tall trees offered shade and protection. With a firm and determined voice, he shared his concerns: we need to protect ourselves. The Antichrist is trying to deceive us and create confusion among us. We must arm ourselves with faith and truth. The defense plan. But how could they protect themselves from something so deceptive and treacherous? Raphael remembered an old legend that spoke of the weapons of faith, truth, justice, peace, and love. These were the weapons that could protect them from negative influences and maintain the village's unity. The weapons of faith. Determined to put this plan into action, Raphael and his friends decided to choose their own weapons to prepare for the battle against the Antichrist. Maria, a friend of Raphael's, chose truth. She began sharing stories about the good deeds and kindness that had once flourished in their village. Maria organized gatherings where people could recall happy and meaningful moments. With each story, she rekindled hope and trust in human goodness, helping to dispel fear and distrust. John chose justice. He dedicated himself to helping those who were unjustly treated, defending those who had no voice. John launched a campaign to identify and correct injustices in the village. He brought people together to discuss inequalities and come up with solutions, promoting a sense of community and collective responsibility. Clara chose peace. With a welcoming heart, she fostered friendly conversations between people in conflict. Clara organized gatherings in the village square where everyone could express their concerns and resolve disagreements in a safe environment. She brought music, food, and stories, creating a space where people could connect and understand one another. The village's transformation. As the days passed, the dark storm began to dissipate. The people of the village united, reinforcing the strength of their choices and reaffirming their values. They realized that true protection lay in supporting each other and keeping faith in something greater than themselves. Maria's stories created a renewed sense of community, John's efforts promoted justice and equality, and Clara's initiatives brought harmony and friendship. The village began to flourish once again, with laughter and joy filling the air. The people realized that, even in the face of the Antichrist's threat, they could find safety and strength in their unity. The power of actions. Raphael, observing this transformation, understood that the weapons of faith were not just words but concrete actions that everyone could take. He saw that every time they chose truth, justice, peace, and love, they were protecting themselves from the influence of the Antichrist and bringing light into the world around them. The experiences lived by each member of the village not only strengthened the community but also transformed each individual. The lessons of solidarity, courage, and love were etched into everyone's hearts. They learned that, in times of crisis, true strength lies in faith and unity. Final reflection. And you? Have you ever stopped to think about which weapons you can use to protect yourself from temptations and negative influences? Raphael's story and his friends remind us that, in difficult times, we must come together and seek what is truly good. The weapons of faith, truth, justice, peace, and love, are within our reach. By using them, we can face any storm and bring light where there is darkness. Let's discuss together how we can strengthen ourselves and build a more united and loving community. Raphael's journey and his friends teach us that by choosing to act with kindness, truth, and solidarity, we can build a powerful shield against evil influences. The power of actions, guided by faith, can change the world around us. And together, we can be the change we wish to see. Alright, we're moving on to the next topic, but before we continue, I noticed you haven't liked this video yet. It's really important for YouTube to keep promoting our content so we can continue helping you. So, hit that like button, it's free. Now, moving on. 5. Recognizing the tactics of the Antichrist. The Antichrist is a cunning and manipulative figure whose main skill is deceiving those who are vulnerable. He presents himself as the solution to our problems, but in reality, his tactics are aimed at leading us away from the path of truth and goodness. To protect ourselves, it's essential to recognize his strategies and understand how they manifest in our daily lives. Deceptive promises. One of the most common tactics of the Antichrist is making deceptive promises. He offers irresistible deals of happiness and success, like a charismatic salesman promising the perfect product. These promises may seem legitimate and appealing, especially during emotional fragility or crisis. However, they are often superficial and don't bring the true satisfaction we seek. Example: imagine someone promising wealth and fame quickly. The temptation is strong, but by following this path, many end up feeling empty and disillusioned, realizing that true happiness doesn't come from material goods or social status. How to protect ourselves? The key is to question the truth of these offers. We must remember that true happiness comes from following God's principles, which teach us about love, compassion, and service to others. Instead of seeking easy solutions, we should focus on cultivating meaningful relationships and our spiritual growth. Distorting the truth. Another cunning strategy of the Antichrist is distorting the truth. He twists reality, presenting lies as truths and creating confusion. This tactic is often seen in messages that contradict God's teachings, leading people to doubt their beliefs and values. Example: imagine someone claiming there's nothing wrong with acting selfishly, disregarding others' needs. This distortion may seem attractive at first, but it leads to disharmony and discontent. How to avoid these traps? Knowledge is the key. Studying and knowing the Bible and other sources of spiritual wisdom help us discern between what is true and what is false. By deepening our understanding of divine teachings, we become more resistant to the manipulations that seek to lead us astray. Division and conflict. The Antichrist also tries to create divisions and conflicts among people. He sows distrust, causing us to distance ourselves from each other and isolate in our differences. This division is harmful because it weakens our ability to act as a united community. Example: think of a community where rumors are spread, creating distrust among neighbors. These divisions can lead to fights and misunderstandings, driving people apart. The best defense against this is to promote unity and empathy. We must remember that we are all part of God's creation, and that love and understanding are more powerful than any disagreement. Organizing community activities and moments of dialogue can help strengthen bonds and reinforce solidarity. Attraction to materialism. Another tactic of the Antichrist is making us believe that happiness lies in material possessions. He tries to convince us that chasing after material goods is the key to satisfaction and success. This endless pursuit can pull us away from what truly matters: love, spirituality, and our connection with God. Example: think of someone working tirelessly to acquire wealth, but who ends up feeling lonely and unsatisfied, neglecting meaningful relationships. To resist this temptation, it's crucial to stay focused on what is eternal rather than what is fleeting. Practicing gratitude for what we have and valuing experiences and relationships over material goods helps us stay centered on what truly brings happiness. Silencing the conscience. Lastly, the Antichrist tries to silence our conscience, making us ignore what is right and wrong. He provokes doubts that can lead to moral confusion and neglect of our values. This manipulation can result in feelings of guilt or spiritual disconnection. Example: imagine a person facing a difficult choice, deciding to ignore their inner voice, allowing themselves to justify actions they know are wrong. This disobedience to the conscience can lead to a cycle of regret and spiritual disconnection. To resist this pressure, we must cultivate a strong relationship with God. Prayer and meditation help us listen to the inner voice that guides us toward what is right. Strengthening this connection enables us to better discern between right and wrong, making choices that align with our values. 6. The importance of community in resisting evil. The fight against the forces of evil, which can manifest in various ways in our lives, requires not only individual courage but also the support and unity of a faith-based community. The importance of a spiritual support network becomes evident in times of difficulty, providing a safe space to grow, learn, and resist temptation. Let's delve into the relevance of community in this resistance. Emotional support. The emotional support we find in community is essential to our spiritual well-being. When we face crises of faith, doubts, or personal difficulties, sharing our experiences with others who understand our journey can be deeply healing. The welcoming and empathetic environment allows us to express our insecurities without fear of judgment. The active listening and encouragement from our brothers and sisters in faith not only lighten the emotional burden but also renew our hope and strength. Furthermore, the emotional connections formed within the community create a sense of belonging, which is vital during moments of isolation or despair. Knowing there are people willing to support us, pray for us, and offer comforting words can make a significant difference in our ability to face adversity. Mutual accountability. Mutual accountability becomes a transformative element in spiritual life. When we commit to following God's principles and teachings, the presence of others who do the same encourages us to remain steadfast. Supporting one another is a continuous form of motivation, knowing that by leaning on each other, we are more likely to resist the temptations surrounding us. This collective commitment is reflected in practical actions, such as regular Bible study meetings, prayer groups, and even simple conversations about daily life. Accountability is further reinforced through mentorship and small groups, where members can support each other in personal struggles, sharing progress and challenges. This exchange of experiences strengthens everyone's faith and reminds us that we are not alone on this journey. Sharing knowledge. A vibrant community is a true reservoir of spiritual knowledge and wisdom. The sharing of personal testimonies and stories enriches our understanding of Scripture and inspires us to apply its teachings in our lives. Each member brings a unique perspective, creating an environment where learning is dynamic and accessible. Additionally, group discussions on biblical themes and contemporary issues promote collaborative learning. Open dialogue allows us to confront doubts and explore different interpretations, leading to deeper growth. Group Bible studies are also opportunities to integrate theory with practice, encouraging actions that reflect Christ's teachings. Strengthening collective faith. Worshipping together has transformative power. When we gather to praise and pray, we create a spiritual atmosphere that strengthens our collective faith. The music, prayers, and shared messages during these moments not only lift us individually but also solidify our sense of community. These gatherings provide the opportunity to witness God's work in the lives of others, encouraging us to believe that He is also acting in our own lives. One member's testimony of faith can become the guiding light for another in their darkness, creating a cycle of building up and support that resonates throughout the community. Joint action. A united community is a powerful force for good. Through aid projects, solidarity campaigns, and social actions, we can manifest the love and compassion of Christ in tangible ways. These joint efforts not only meet the needs of the most vulnerable but also strengthen the bonds between community members. Working together on common causes teaches us the importance of service, empathy, and justice. Moreover, these actions reinforce the community's identity as an extension of God's love in the world, reminding us that we are called to be light and salt in the midst of darkness. 7. The narrow path, Daniel's choice. In a small town where traditions were valued as much as family bonds, there lived a young man named Daniel. Known for his kindness and integrity, he was a pillar of the community. Since childhood, he had learned the importance of values, honesty, respect, and faith. His daily life was simple, but full of meaningful moments, like the conversations with his grandfather, who told him wise stories about life and spirituality. One day, while walking through the town square, Daniel overheard rumors about a new group that was attracting the attention of many. They said that those who joined would gain access to a life of wealth and power. Imagine the freedom that could bring. Daniel thought, intrigued. It was a tempting offer, and the idea of breaking away from his routine seemed like an opportunity for transformation. Driven by curiosity, he decided to attend a meeting of the group. That night, he found a room full of excited faces, all fervently speaking about the future that awaited them. The promises were grand: easy success, recognition, and a carefree life. Just abandon your old habits and embrace the new. Don't worry about what's right or wrong, the result is all that matters. The words sounded like music, and many around him applauded enthusiastically. However, Daniel began to feel uncomfortable. There was something about the intensity of that devotion to the new that unsettled him. While the people around him talked of abandoning old values, he felt the voices of his grandparents echoing in his mind. The narrow path is not always the easiest, but it is the one that leads to true peace. He started to realize that the path being offered, although enticing, was filled with traps that could compromise his essence. That night, he had a vivid dream. He saw himself at a crossroads. To the left, a wide and brightly lit road, full of parties, dazzling lights, and laughter. People were dancing, and everything seemed perfect. But to the right, a narrow path wound through, covered with stones and surrounded by a dense forest. The silence was profound, and a soft breeze whispered secrets Daniel could not understand. As he looked at the two roads, he felt a weight in his heart, as if an inner voice was warning him about the dangers of the wide path. He realized that the road filled with lights could lead him to a life of superficiality, where the values he cherished would be cast aside. The narrow path, on the other hand, required courage and determination but seemed more aligned with his search for purpose and peace. Upon waking, Daniel made a decision. He knew the easy path was not what he truly wanted. With resolve, he chose the narrow path. In the days that followed, he dedicated himself to living according to his principles. He became involved in community activities, helping those in need, and participating in prayer groups. Engaging more with the life of the town, Daniel began to form bonds with people who shared his values. Life wasn't always easy, he faced financial challenges and moments of doubt. At times, he felt tempted to look toward the wide road and its promises. But whenever that happened, he remembered his dream and his grandfather's words. The weight in his heart would lift as he realized that each small act of kindness and integrity built a stronger foundation for his life. As time went on, Daniel began to notice that his choices were influencing those around him. He became a model of perseverance and integrity. Friends and acquaintances started seeking him out for advice and guidance. Daniel shared his experiences, showing that while the narrow path might be difficult, it was also full of genuine joy and satisfaction. Years later, as he looked out over his vibrant town, Daniel felt a deep sense of gratitude. He didn't possess material riches, but he was rich in true friendships, love, and wisdom. He had become a beacon of hope and faith, inspiring others to also choose the narrow path. At a community event, Daniel had the opportunity to share his story. Looking at the audience, he saw familiar faces, friends, neighbors, all gathered not just to hear him speak, but to celebrate life in community. He spoke about the importance of staying true to one's principles and seeking a life that resonates with truth and integrity. Choosing the narrow path may be hard, he said, but it is where we find true peace and happiness. At the end of his speech, the people applauded not only his words but the life he had built. Daniel realized that his choice had not only transformed him but had deeply impacted the community. He was grateful for having followed the narrow path, knowing that though life could be challenging, love and faith would always prevail. And so, Daniel's story spread throughout the town, not as a tale of material success, but as a powerful testament that, even in a world that often values the superficial, the narrow path, though full of challenges, is the one that leads to true fulfillment and happiness. Daniel's journey inspired many to seek their own truths, showing that with faith and courage, it's possible to build a meaningful and purpose-filled life. 8. The Trap of Fool's Gold. In a distant kingdom, filled with majestic mountains and dense forests, lived a young man named Lucas. Known for his humility and pure heart, Lucas led a simple yet joyful life. He spent his days helping his family on the farm and tending to animals, always trusting in God to guide him on the right path. For him, true wealth was not in possessions but in the relationships he cultivated and the faith that sustained him. One morning, while walking through the city market, Lucas overheard whispers about a mysterious man who had arrived in the kingdom. People were excitedly talking about his promises of infinite wealth. "He offers enough gold to live worry-free for the rest of your life," one person said. "You'll be respected, admired, and have everything you desire," exclaimed another. The rumors spread like wildfire, and many abandoned their work and responsibilities in search of this fortune. The idea of escaping poverty and living a worry-free life began to seduce Lucas. He remembered how life in the countryside, though fulfilling, was full of hardships and sacrifices. However, despite the temptation, something inside him made him hesitate. He recalled his grandmother's wise words, "Not everything that glitters is real gold. Beware of easy promises, for what seems too good to be true often hides traps." These words echoed in his mind, a constant reminder that true wealth couldn't be bought. Despite his instincts, curiosity and temptation were strong. Lucas decided to visit the mysterious man and see for himself. When he arrived at the man's tent, he was dazzled. Piles of shining gold were scattered across the floor, glittering in the sunlight like fallen stars. The man, with an elegant appearance and a persuasive smile, warmly welcomed him. "Welcome, young man. I'm here to offer you everything you've ever dreamed of." Lucas listened carefully as the man made his promises, describing a life of luxury and power. "Just leave behind your old values," the man continued, in a seductive tone. "There's no need to follow these outdated rules of kindness and faith. What matters is what you can achieve." Lucas's heart pounded with a mix of excitement and suspicion. He approached the piles of gold, touching one of the coins. However, the moment his fingers made contact, something extraordinary happened. The coin began to crumble in his hands, like fine sand slipping through his fingers. The shine, which once seemed so real, now revealed its true nature. The illusion of wealth vanished before his eyes. The man noticed the change in Lucas's expression and tried to convince him. "This is just the beginning. If you trust me, you can have everything you want. Imagine the life you could have. The happiness you could feel." But by then, Lucas had already learned the lesson he needed. He remembered the simplicity of his life and the value of true things. "No, thank you," Lucas replied firmly, "what you offer isn't real. I prefer the truth, even if it means living with less. What you call gold isn't worth the freedom of being who I am." As he walked away from the man and the tent, a lightness filled Lucas's heart. He walked back home, feeling that he had made the right choice. The weight of empty promises dissipated, and he realized that by rejecting the fool's gold, he had chosen truth, and that was the greatest wealth of all. In the days that followed, Lucas dedicated himself even more to his family and community. He became a source of inspiration for those who, like him, were tempted by the promises of easy wealth. He shared his story, emphasizing that true happiness was in living with integrity and gratitude, not in chasing illusions. The kingdom, in turn, experienced an awakening among its inhabitants. Many began to reevaluate their lives, turning away from the empty promises of the mysterious man. Lucas, with his pure heart and growing wisdom, became a beacon of hope and truth in his community. And so, Lucas's story in his rejection of fool's gold spread, reminding everyone that material riches are nothing compared to the wealth of living a true life, full of love, faith, and integrity. The young man who once hesitated had now become a symbol of resistance and wisdom, showing that even in the most difficult circumstances, choosing truth always prevails. Well, we've reached the end of the video, but before we go, I've linked a related video up above that will surely help you even more with your struggles. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to keep receiving content. See you in the next video.